Hello, my name is Matthew, and it's the end of the month, and the first month of a new year. And I don't often, haven't made a habit of making wrap up videos. I tend to feel more comfortable making videos about each particular book that I'm reading. Um, since it's the beginning of the year, I thought I would try something new and see if this is something that um, I should make into a routine, and also if it's just interesting to watch. I know a lot of people that might like listening to me talk um, might uh, not want to listen to me talk about some specific books, so I thought I would just kind of do a general overview about what I've read this month. And although I like to try to make videos about each thing that I've read a lot more than I've made videos about. So it's also nice to just uh, document my own reading for myself and have a record for it. And maybe it's kind of interesting. I'm not sure. So some of these books that I'll show, I have talked about and have videos on. And then some that I haven't. There's some rereads of different things, but I'll just start showing you what I have. Not in any order because I don't remember uh, the order of what I've read, but The House of Ulloa by Emilia, Pardo, Bazán. Um, I will be making an effort to be reading more Spanish literature by the Spaniards. So, literature written in Spain. My girlfriend lives in Spain. I'm very interested, just in general, when I think about uh, French literature and Russian literature, which are two countries that I've spent a lot of time reading their works, and um, with Russian literature, it's kind of, in some ways, it's kind of easy. If you want to get a sense of the Russians, you can read Dostoevsky and Tolstoy and um, Pushkin and Chekhov and Turgenev and Nikolai Gogol. It doesn't have to be the huge, big tomes. So Dostoevsky, you could read Notes from Underground, and Tolstoy, you could read The Death of Ivan Ilyich, and Gogol, you could read The Nose, and Chekhov, you could read The Cherry Orchard, and um, Fathers and Sons by Turgenev. All these short works by a variety of authors that you could read in a week and have a fairly good sense of what you like, what you don't like. The French, it's all these books, all these authors, and if you like French literature in translation, there's a lot to offer. I've had a hard time with Spanish literature from Spain, and I'm finding things bit by bit, little steps at a time, and getting there because um, in the world of Spanish literature, they have a towering, monumental book. They have Don Quixote by Cervantes. And if you're only going to have one book, the Spanish are doing pretty good. Um, one of the greatest novels ever written. So maybe there's just a lot to find in that shadow. Um, the House of Ulloa was terrific, and it was a Galician novel. It was set in Galicia, the northwest territory in Spain. And I read this with my girlfriend. She lives in Spain, and it's set in Galicia, and we were talking about that. And she brought up Lorca, so Federico Garcia Lorca. And she told me that Lorca had written um, six Galician poems, and he wrote them in Galician. I've recently been learning a lot more about Spain, and they have co-equal languages, so they don't all speak exclusively Spanish. There's different parts of Spain that speak other languages, and so in Galicia there's Galician, which is another language. And so there's people that speak Galician, and there's people that speak Spanish, and Federico Garcia Lorca at some point went there, and he wrote poems in Galician. And my girlfriend sent me a link to these poems. And I started reading them, and I was so enamored that I wrote them down. I hand wrote all the poems out. Let's see. I should have. So, 6 Galician poems by Federico Garcia Lorca, translated by Neil Anderson. There's that green ink. Madrigal for the City of Santiago, and Feast of the Virxi de Barca, Song of the Shop Boy. And these poems that were written in Galician by Federico Garcia Lorca, I just read them, and I thought they were so beautiful. It's what inspired me to get a couple other volumes. I got a collection of his poetry, and also the 4 plays. I've read 1 so far. And so, that there. Let's see, I'll show the other 2. The Selected Poems by Lorca. It's an Oxford classic. It's an overview. It's a selection from his life's work, his tragically short life. And it's also facing pages. So, not that I have to flip to anything in particular, but there was one poem that I just read that if I could find it, I'd be happy. Ballad of the Moon, Romance de la Luna, Romance de la Luna, and it's facing pages. I haven't spent very much time with this volume, but what I've read is beautiful. And I read Donna Rosita the Spinster, and I also have to look forward to Blood Wedding, Yerma, and The House of Bernardo Alba. So there's that. Again, with the vein of Spanish literature, I read The Homage of Catalonia by George Orwell, which was an outsider's perspective on the Spanish Civil War. I'm hoping at some point this year to also read For Whom the Bell Tolls by Hemingway. I've read it. I think it's his greatest work, but I've been reading a lot of Spanish literature in translation recently, and I think I'm going to get a lot more out of it the next time that I read it. I'm looking forward to that. Let's see. Seneca. I've just been reading a few of his letters, maybe in the early morning or in between different things that I've been reading. There's a lot that I enjoy with reading these kind of personal philosophical letters, and they make you they make me think anyway. The Life of Our Lord by Charles Dickens, and I've been slowly making a video series reading each chapter with the goal of having a playlist of me reading the whole book. And there's a chance that maybe you've seen those videos and thought, why am I reading this? I'm not religious. I'm not a Christian. So what's the deal? And the most essential point is that I really enjoy reading this book. typically I would only read it maybe once a year or something like that. But I read it around Christmas time, just this past year, and the opening, uh, the opening paragraph or lines from Dickens, and he was writing this for his children, and they were going to be these bedtime stories to give a soft version of the life of Jesus Christ. And it begins with, I'm very anxious that you should know something about the history of Jesus Christ, for everybody ought to know about him. And I found that to be very telling, because whether you're, especially if you're a Christian, you should, I guess, but if you're an atheist or any religion, um, Christianity is just such a large part of the world that we live in. If you're a human walking around, you really need to, really should know. In the same way that you should know who the Beatles are, you just should know the world around you. And someone might not want to read the New Testament or the whole of the Bible or even the four Gospels. I find this to be a very welcoming. I thought I'd make videos about it. Someday someone might find it, and 45 minutes of listening to me talk, you kind of know the story, and that's, could be enough. Speaking of the Bible, I recently read, in the past week or two, I read the first 12 books of Genesis. And I read the Robert Alter translation. And this time reading it again, I was thinking about Adam and Eve, and then there's Cain and Abel. These other peoples start appearing, and there's been times when I read it and think, like, well, where'd these people come from? I like to think that maybe they just were other gardens, other things going on. So this is the story of one garden and the creation of a handful of people. It doesn't mean the Lord didn't have other gardens with other people popping up out of the mud. And the genealogies, which sometimes, or at least in the past, could be the boring parts. For whatever reason, I was so much more interested, especially the timelines. There's these characters that are living hundreds of years, nearly 1,000 years, and it's one after the other. 900 years. They lived 900 years, 700 years, 800 years. And it really made me think that these characters are still not quite human. That they have divine qualities. There's part of them that is still swept up in the touch of the Lord. So they're still creatures. They're not quite human beings the way that everyone walking today are human beings. And I don't mean that in any sort of religious or realistic way. What I mean is in a literary way. What kind of characters are these? And I find that interesting to think about what their behavior is and what they're doing, and how human are they. I can't remember if I read this at the end of December or the beginning of January, but Snow Country by Kawabata. And I think I made a video talking about this, and there was the way that I would describe this book is that it's beautiful and sorrowful. And I remember thinking about the word sorrowful and then not mentioning it in the video. I don't think. Epitaph of a Small Winter by Machado de Assis. Brazilian, Portuguese, and I thought it was terrific and playful. Reminded me of how much fun it is to read something that's so unexpected. It's not following any normal conventions. Let's see. Just like a day or two ago, I started reading just the beginning of, what did I read? It was it the author's prologue? I read the author's prologue of Gargantua and Pantagruel by Rabelais. I don't know how to say it. Great fun. This is I read this, and at some point I want to read it again, and I think it'd be a really fun read along. To put it mildly. This was a book recommended to me by a coworker, an El Salvadorian coworker who speaks Spanish, and she recommended the Chronicle of a Death Foretold, and I've only read 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Márquez, and I wasn't won over. I'm hoping. So I started it. I read maybe 5 pages, and I kept thinking, on a day off, it's so slim, I could read it in a day, and each time I've had an opportunity, I just haven't picked it up. But I had started it a couple times. And I'll end with the Annals of Imperial Rome by Tacitus. I read a handful of the beginning chapters. In November, I was reading a lot of Roman history, fluttering around like a bumblebee, from flower to flower, and not really focusing. I had a great time reading this a few days ago, where I just felt like I was in the right wavelength, enjoying it and understanding it, and I think because of a lot of the reading that I've done recently, being able to envision all of these people and what they are doing, and this is the kind of book that makes me think that kind of wrap-up videos work better, because I don't think I should be making Roman history videos. I just don't know enough and can't speak knowledgeably, not in any way that I feel comfortable about. That could change, but I've really had a great time reading Tacitus. So a whole bunch of books, and I think that's about everything. Maybe I missed something, I'm not sure. I would say a great reading month and a really good beginning of the year. I'm in a great groove, and I'm in a great mood, and yeah, so a whole bunch of books. So let me know what you've been reading this month, if you would like. Let me know if you've read any of these things, or if you read anything with me, or anything like that. Feel free to leave a comment. And thank you for watching, and take care.